bringing you a kid-friendly radio show. Every Saturday afternoon on YouTube. Broadcasting live at 1 o'clock. Broadcasting live at 1 o'clock.
Hello and welcome to episode 51 of The Brit Show with me, Ethan. Coming up on today's show, an interesting interview with TikTok and full-time road tripping RV family, the Flying Hens. Before we get into that interview, I do have a new channel called Ethan F, which is my personal channel where I'll be uploading vlogs, tips on podcasting, tips on how to start, grow and produce your very own podcast, and just general videos that I want to do about my life and whatever really I want to do on there. So please do go and check that out and subscribe. There is not a video on there yet, but there will be soon. I have also launched my own personal Instagram and Twitter to go along with that, so if you want to check them out, the links are in the description down below, or they are Ethan F YT on Twitter and Instagram. But yeah, so now it is time to get into part 1 of my interview with Molly from the Flying Hens, who have 130,000 followers on TikTok and travel around the US full time in an RV. Welcome on the show, Molly from the Flying Hens with 130k on TikTok, and they travel all around the US. So welcome, how are you doing today?
Hello, it's great to be here. I'm doing well. It's a cold day here in Texas, so it's staying warm inside.
Yeah. So to get started, so if people don't know, what do you do?
Well, a few years ago, my family decided at the start of the pandemic that we were going to basically sell everything we own, and we bought an RV. It's a pretty big box on wheels, basically, and travel around the U.S. in our RV. So we love to go to national parks, and we share about our travels on social media.
Yeah, and so why did you decide to pack up your comfortable life with a big house and things and move on the road?
Yeah, so my husband is a pilot, and we've traveled all over the world with our kids. So we have this like adventure travel spirit already in us. So, you know, we weren't too attached to our house. We had only lived in it for a year. And at the start of the pandemic, you know, my husband being a pilot, the industry wasn't looking very good. I don't know if you remember in March and April and May of 2020, but there weren't a lot of airplanes flying around. People were scared to fly. Oh. And there's a level of uncertainty in his job and his career. Like they were talking about having to furlough pilots or you know, I don't know. We didn't know what his job was going to look like. So we knew that we needed like downsize our house. But it didn't really make financial sense to like buy a new house. And we didn't know if we were going to have to move locations in the future. So anyway, the RV made perfect sense for us because it gave us such financial freedom. You know, the cost of living is so much cheaper living in an RV, and then it gives us the ability to kind of like move wherever we need to based on his job future, as well as it allows us to continue to travel safely around the country. You know, we have our own home on wheels with us, so that's cool.
So you said your husband was a pilot. So is he still like a pilot? So does he still fly as well then? Nah, even now.
Right. So what ended up happening is he had to take a involuntary leave from his company. So his company like kind of grouped about 1,000 pilots, and they didn't work for a whole year. And that was he was in the group, so he didn't work. And it was great. It was a blessing for us because we were able to have all this time with my husband and, you know, the kids with their dad. And it was like a big family vacation for a little over a year. And then this past fall, he did go back to flying. And so we've had that challenge of like, well, how do we work the RV, you know, travel situation with his job? And we've been able to go to places where we're close to an airport, and I just drop him off at the airport and he goes and does his trip and then comes back to us.
So like, does he now do it like part-time as such more then?
No, he does fly full-time. So there is actually a whole group of pilots that travel in RVs full-time.
Oh wow.
We've met a few, so that's been really cool. Yeah, they do exist.
So like in that year where he wasn't flying, like how did you make money then?
Well, the craziest part, and it has a lot to do with like, I guess the US government's like kind of support during the pandemic. He was still paid. So
oh wow.
Still got that paycheck. And we do a lot of content creation and brand partnerships with our social media. So I mean, it's not a ton of money, but it definitely, you know, helps pay some of the grocery bills and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Oh, so you could still like travel freely without the worry of what you were going to do next with the money. So now you own an RV, and if you want to, if you feel comfortable, how much did it cost, and how much are you like saving as such by living this lifestyle compared to living just in a house as such?
Well, so our RV in 2021 was significantly less than it is now. The RV industry is booming. So our RV was under $80,000 US when we bought it. Now you wouldn't, I mean, it's over almost double that if you were to go buy our exact RV right now. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's definitely appreciated, which isn't like a normal thing, I think, but we'll take it for now. And then like the cost of living is significantly less. We don't have like property taxes. We don't have, you know, the electric and whatever bills to pay. You know, when we do stay at RV parks, the rent isn't that expensive. Like the place we're at now, you know, it's significantly less than the mortgage we were paying on our house. So, but we do the style of camping called boondocking. It's dry camping. It's going kind of out on like the public lands in the country. You can park on the land for free. And they usually have like these just amazing views. And that's our favorite style of camping. Our RV is set up so that we can kind of live off grid. We have a huge solar setup on our RV. And that provides like charging of our batteries so that, you know, run appliances and stuff. Yeah. And so that, I mean, you know, to be able to live off of the public lands and not pay for an RV park, it becomes really, really cheap.
Yeah. So I was, one of my questions was going to ask, do you have to live in an RV park, but you can go off grid, which is really good. So you did you like furnish the RV yourself? So when you bought it, was it just empty as such?
Yes, it was just like from the factory. It had all the standard like factory grade everything, and we went in last spring and we remodeled it so that, I mean, it really does look like, you know, a small house. We painted it. We put our own, like I put these curtains up and just our own personal touch, so it feels like a mini house. It's just super cute and homey on the inside.
Yeah, I'm looking at your camera now, and I wouldn't have guessed you were in an RV right now. So when you first decided to move on the road in 2020, were you nervous?
No, I was
Really?
not. So before we made that decision, we had actually done like a family vacation where we rented an RV. We had no
Okay, yeah.
prior RV experience. We just thought it was kind of like a fun vacation. So we um we went on like a 10-day RV trip around the Grand Canyon, and we fell in love with it. So when we ended up a few months later, we were like, hey, we could just, move into an RV. And I think through social media, we've made so many connections with people who live this lifestyle. There's literally thousands and thousands of families doing what we do. And, we've made connections with them. So they've helped encourage us along the way. There's so many resources out there too, to like not be nervous with planning the road trips and where we're going to go. So, yeah,
Yeah.
not too
So,
nervous.
so, so originally, was it hard to get rid of a lot of your stuff to move into this RV?
Also, no, I just don't have an attachment to things. I love throwing things away. And I felt
Oh
like
wow.
our house was like just had so much junk in it. I hated it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was like liberating for me to be like, all right, just, donate. And it was it was a lot of work to do it all, and to donate and, whatever. But yeah, I loved it.
It also was like a fresh start as such because you
Mhm.
didn't have
It
all
was
that
like
stuff anymore.
kind of, yeah, you kind of figure out like what you really need to live with and what you can live without. Living simply has been just, I think it's a good life lesson to learn too.
Yeah. So what did your friends and family think when you told them that you were gonna travel around the US in an RV?
Some of them were like, what? And then others were like, oh yeah, that sounds like totally you. Just to do something crazy like that. My own parents, my dad especially, his lifelong dream has been to travel the country in an RV. He just never has. And so even before we pulled the trigger on buying an RV, he bought an RV too. And him and my mom have been traveling the country, not full time, but they go on a lot of trips in their little RV. It's so cute.
So without COVID, do you think you would have ever done this and never decided to do this?
No, we wouldn't. We wouldn't have. I don't think so.
So are you
Um,
grateful in some way for that then?
yes, I think this whole like, downsizing, getting rid of like things that we don't need has taught us a lot of valuable lessons. It's grown us closer as a family. You know, I'm very thankful that this all happened, and that it worked out like with my husband's job. Like he got to keep his job and all of that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't know, like, how long we'll end up doing this for. We still have a lot of the country that we still want to go see. Um, and I don't think we would have done this without the pandemic, but I think that the RV vacation that we did, we would probably do another one of those in various places. So
So do you like ever want to live in a house again and move back into that normal lifestyle as such?
yeah, there's parts of us that like want some sort of. I know it'll look different because we have always had a house like in the suburbs that like they're right on top of each other. I know for sure that when we get a house next, it'll be with a view of like water, or it will be like a lot of land that we own. I don't think we could ever have a house where we're right next to someone. And then also, like, our last house was really big. I know we don't ever want to live in a large house again. I don't necessarily like, our RV is 429 square feet. I don't want to go that small, but somewhere in
Yeah.
between. Yeah.
So you have three children. What are their ages and what do they think about traveling full time?
My oldest is Eli. He's 9 years old, and he's gonna get such a kick out of the Brit kids show. And yeah, he loves YouTube, so he's gonna love it.
Oh,
And then
thank you.
my older daughter is 7, and my youngest is is 4, and her name is Lily. The older daughter is Selah. So Eli, Selah, and Lily, they've actually grown up traveling. Like I mentioned, we've traveled all over the world with them. So like before the pandemic, we were going on trips 2 or 3 times a month. So like
Oh,
whether that
wow.
was just joining my husband on one of his trips, like he'd be like, oh, I'm going to Seattle tomorrow, like want to join me? Yes, we do, because I want to go see Seattle. And you know, we made a lot of those trips like educational, like, oh, we're going to go to this national park this, you know, for a week, to just go hiking and explore. So it was kind of like built into their lives already. They had passports, like, you know, as infants, um, and like as an airline pilot, you know, we fly for free. The whole family does. So we had plans prior to the pandemic to start like doing many more international trips. Obviously, that's really put on hold right now. But as far as their thoughts on RV life, they have their ups and downs. My son, for sure, forever, he wants to live in an RV. Like that's his long-term life goal, I'm pretty sure. He loves travel. He loves, like, he just loves it. My middle daughter, she's like goes back and forth on it. Like it's just based on her mood. Like, you know, we try
Yeah.
to respect their wants and desires. Like her biggest thing is she wants like her own little play space. So we try to make that for her, you know, like today you get to go play in my room. You can bring all your toys in there, because sometimes like the youngest one's taking a nap in the kids' room. So, and then the youngest, I don't know if she really, you know, cares just yet, but she's been RVing now since she was just turned 3. So she's been doing this probably as long as she can remember. Um, yeah. So they
Yes.
love travel though.
So even before the pandemic, has any one of them actually ever gone to school, or have you always homeschooled them as such? So you had that flexibility to go on them trips.
Yes, so I've always homeschooled the kids. They did, all of them have gone to a like starter preschool, we call it here,
Yeah.
at the
Okay.
age of 4. So they kind of like, you know, just get into the habit of like, you know, learning how to sit down in a circle and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but I started homeschooling in kindergarten here at the age of 5 for all of them. And yeah, it does allow flexibility for us to, you know, hop on
Yeah.
an airplane and go somewhere, or just, you know, get to go explore the area that we're at.
Yeah. So like, do you set? So do you have like a curriculum that you have to follow as a homeschooler, or do you like kind of have a flexibility on what you can teach them?
So here in the United States, every state has their different rules about homeschooling,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
we live in Texas, which has like the most flexible rules ever. I can teach whatever I want, but I do
Okay.
follow a pretty structured curriculum. This year we have like all subjects in workbook form, and we just follow the curriculum of that. I do allow flexibility for history and science to try to tie in our travels with learning,
Yeah. Yeah.
about, you know, whatever it is, wherever we are.
Yeah, and I actually interviewed a couple of months ago a narrowboater that lives on a narrowboat full time, and he said as well the same. They try and do like history lessons as well, where the places where they're going as well. So in your opinion, do you think there is an advantage of traveling with your children and giving them all of these experiences, and also learning like actually in person with these landmarks and things like that? Or do you think as they get older, it will be less beneficial for your children's education and like social life as such?
Um, that's a hard question, because I think you have to adapt and adjust, like depending on the needs of your children. Right now, it's great. They're at an age where, you know, they learn so much through exploring and like seeing things with their own eyes versus in a history book or a science book. And
Yeah.
that I think is just it's not, you can't place a value on that. Now in the future, I don't know. I don't think that we'll be doing this kind of time travel life when they're, you know, in their teenage years, but I do know so many airline families that they do make airline travel, going to Europe and, seeing all the cathedrals and art museums and that kind of thing, part of their history. Um, and their kids are teenagers. So I don't think that aspect will ever stop for us. Even when we don't RV anymore, we're still going to be traveling because that's part of who we are in our blood,
Yeah.
really. But it might look different. It might not be like the full-time thing, but for sure, hopefully with, just, I don't know how the pandemic's going to go, but hopefully, within the years that they're teenagers, that we can start flying to Europe and enjoying all those things again, So,
Yeah. So like, how does like friends and things work for your children?
I don't know if it's just my kids, but they're like the most social children you've ever met. They've always been like this. And I think it started at birth when, as a mom, I just kept handing them to people to hold. So they never had that separation anxiety for me. And they were always like wanting to be around other people. So that started it all. And so like now when we pull into a new spot, a new park, or wherever we are, they like find the other kids like in a snap. And they'll just go
They
up
have
to
like a
them and be like, hey, do you want to be
superpower.
friends? Yeah. And at this age, I think that the most important thing for kids in terms of social, they're not looking for like super close connections where they can like, have those deep conversations. They just want to play. And we've
Yeah.
never had a problem with that. They've always like just gone out and played with whoever is around. We've been in this RV park for 2 months, and this is we come back to Texas, this spot in Texas, for like doctor's appointments and that kind of thing. And so we know a lot of the kids here. They're the same kids, they live here, and they have best friends. Actually, my daughter, her best friend is like 2 RVs down, and they have sleepovers and birthday parties together. So I don't think that part is lacking. Also, we in the fall, this past fall, we traveled with another RV family, and they had
Oh
2
wow.
kids that were our kids, and we saw them every day. We did everything together. They are the best of friends, and even though we don't travel with them now, they still talk to each other every day, using technology like FaceTime and that kind of thing. So it's been good.
Yeah. So like, so you obviously have quite a big TikTok following, and when and why did you decide to start TikTok? And was TikTok your first like platform on social media?
Oh, y'all, you're gonna laugh because I think I'm too old for TikTok, right? Like I'm almost 40. And I was like, no way I'm gonna get on TikTok. But my sister, she's older than me, by the way, but my sister was like, you need to get on TikTok. And I'm like, no, like I have no space there. Just like, she just kept telling me over and over and over, you need to be on TikTok. You need to be on TikTok. I was like, fine, I'll make a video. I'll put it out there. And I was so nervous because I have no idea about TikTok, right? So I think I joined, I think that's what you would say, in October or November. And I just put a video out, and like it had 0 views for like hours. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. And then like over a day, it went viral. And then I put out another one because I guess that's what you're supposed to do. Again, no clue about TikTok. The next day I put out another one that went viral. And that day I hit like 13 or 14,000
Oh
followers
wow.
in one day. I didn't know.
Wow.
And so, yeah, no clue. And so my first, like a few of my first videos that I put out, and they were just RV tours or like telling people who we were or what do we do. A lot of them went viral. And then within 2.5 weeks, I think I hit 100 something thousand followers. I didn't know
Wow.
that was a good thing. Like I said, no clue. I had no idea that you could even make money on TikTok. My sister was like, so when do you start making money? And I was like, what? And she was like, oh yeah, you can make money on TikTok. And I kind of thought that was like you have to be a celebrity or something. And so now it's nice because, we know how to make the money on TikTok. So but I'm just such a TikTok newbie. No idea. But, I just put out videos about our daily life on, you know, RVing and travel and that kind of thing. So, I mean, you might as well get paid for the things that you like doing. So it's just funny that I seriously don't know what I'm doing still.
So what was like your first platform as such where you shared your experience?
It would probably have been Instagram. I've been on there for quite a while. Basically, when I started my website, my blog about our travels, and this was before RVing, this was like our flying adventures. It was more geared towards how to travel with your kids, like tips and tricks, because my kids were young then.
So is that why your brand is called the Flying Hens, because it was flying?
Hens, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and our last name is Leonard, so it's like the Flying Hens. It doesn't make much sense when you drive everywhere now, but it's fine.
The driving hens doesn't have that ring to it, does it?
Right. So, and then I started the Instagram, I don't know, that would have been like 2017 or 18. And then, it was an easy transition into RV life. I think that helped, get more followers, I guess, because there's this other niche in there, like, okay, these people now RV, like that's crazy. But yeah, our Instagram following has increased so much in the last, I don't know, 6 months just because of Reels. So I need to get better.
So do you upload like all your TikTok videos to Reels then?
I try to edit them outside of both platforms so that the watermarks aren't there. That drives me nuts. But sometimes videos get lost in somewhere. I don't even know. Like I just tried to post a TikTok this morning and it like, I don't know who took it, but it's gone. So I don't even know. And that one I had edited in TikTok and now I'm mad that I didn't do it outside of TikTok. So lesson learned. I want to be consistent on editing it outside of TikTok so I can just post on both.
Yeah. So you also have like a YouTube channel. What are your plans? Do you want to expand your YouTube or do you want YouTube to be your main platform, or do you still want TikTok to be like your main platform?
TikTok and I don't know. I think TikTok has a potential of being a great way to share like quickly about, people like short videos. Our YouTube videos tend to be longer. And recently we've done more like how-to videos, like with RVing, like how to find like campsite locations or, figuring out how to install solar on your RV.
Yeah.
So that's like helpful videos. We did for a while, we were doing weekly like adventure videos, like we'd sum up our travels for the week. That halted pretty much when Chris went back to work because we've just so much has happened since the fall. So, but we do want to get back to doing that too. So but I would say
so do you want like with like YouTube, do you want it more to be that how-to videos, or do you want it more to be like vlog as such, vlogging?
I like the vlogging part of it. Especially my kids love watching our adventures over and over again. So I would love to have that be like the main thing. But I know that a lot of people like those instructional how-to videos. But my husband does most of that part of it, and I do
So do you do like more of the TikTok and he does more of the YouTube then?
Yes. But I'll do like our weekly adventures where we're like just sharing our weekly travels. I've done those. So I guess that's more my style, is like sharing that side of things.
Yeah. So let's move on. So have you ever experienced being recognized in public? So hopefully you enjoyed part 1 of my interview with the Flying Hens. Part 2 will be out in 2 weeks' time on Sunday the 13th of February. That's Sunday the 13th of February at 1 o'clock. So if you don't want to miss that, please do subscribe and put the notification bell on so you can watch it as soon as it gets uploaded. And also I do want to say a big thank you to Molly from Flying Hens for taking time out of her day to talk to me, and also for being my first international guest, which is really exciting. If you do want to check out more of the Flying Hens, all the links to their socials and website and blog and all of that good stuff are in the description down below. And remember, part 2 will be out in 2 weeks time. Sadly, that is all we have time for in today's show. We will be back on the 13th of February on audio and video at the same time with part 2 of my interview with the Flying Hens and more. Please share this video with your friends and family. Like, comment, listen to last week's episode if you haven't already. Listen to this show until the end. Email me, follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe because we are trying to get to 200 subscribers. Or follow, favourite or review or whatever your listening platform does. It really does help out. In the meantime, if you have any suggestions to make the show better, or if you want to talk on the show, or if you have a TV show or film that you'd like to nominate for the watch list, have the chance to compete in a future head-to-head at the best guest, comment below, message me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or email me at thebritishshow@gmail.com. So sadly, that is all we have time for. Back on the 13th of February on audio and video at the same time, but for now, goodbye.
Bringing you a kid-friendly radio show every Saturday afternoon on YouTube, broadcasting live at 1 o'clock, broadcasting